Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. Prepare to uncover one of the most shocking and little known chapters in the history of British Empire. Just over a century ago, in the waning years of colonial rule, the thirst for profits led the British to institute a brutal system of indentured servitude, trapping millions of Indians in a brutality that mirrored the horrors of slavery. These were not just passive victims, but resilient souls who fought against overwhelming odds to preserve the dignity and challenge the cruel machinery of the empire. Their stories of hardship, resistance, and the unbreakable human spirit deserve to be heard and honored. After the abolition of slavery across the British colonies, the empire's appetite for cheap labor remained insatiable. Turning their gaze to the Indian subcontinent, the British actively recruited and, in many cases, coerced millions of vulnerable Indians into signing contracts that would bind them to overseas plantations and factories for periods of 5 to 10 years. The recruiters were shameless in their deception, lying about the true nature of the work, the harsh conditions they would face, and the distance from their homes. Desperate families, ravaged by famine and colonial exploitation, saw little choice but to take the risk in the hope of a better life. Little did they know the nightmare that awaited them. Once aboard the ships, the indentured workers were treated like human cargo, shipped around the world to prop up the empire's profitable industries, from sugar and cotton to rubber and tea. The conditions that they endured were eerily similar to the horrors of slavery, with backbreaking labor, living in quarters, and constant surveillance. Many workers were outright forced or kidnapped into servitude, while others signed on voluntarily only to have the terms of their contracts violated. Regardless of how they arrived, the indentured found their freedom severely curtailed as they were bought, sold, and exploited by their colonial masters. By the end of 19th century, over 3 million Indians had been taken to British colonies across the world, an astonishing number that reveals the scale of this shameful system. Yet, despite the trauma and hardship, the resilience of the indentured workers shines through. Rather than submitting their fate, many organized protests, wrote in local newspapers, and challenged the very system that sought to dehumanize them. In British Guyana, their collective actions shook the foundations of the colonial regime. In Fiji, some even turned to the ultimate act of resistance suicide. Tragically, the majority of indentured workers never returned home. Trapped by the terms of their contracts, the lack of sufficient earnings, or the fear of being shunned in India, many chose to stay in the colonies, contributing to the significant Indian diaspora we see today. Over 32 million people of Indian origin now live outside of India, a testament to the resilience of their ancestors. The legacy of indentured servitude is still visible in communities that emerged from this brutal system. In places like Mauritius, Trinidad, Guyana, Fiji, and South Africa, the descendants of the indentured workers have established vibrant Indian communities. However, the scars of this history have not fully healed. The British colonizers deliberately sowed divisions between the former enslaved Africans and the indentured Indians, inflaming tensions that persist to this day. In many of these societies, the descendants of the indentured workers still struggle to overcome the lasting impact of this shameful system. Yet, the stories of the indentured workers, though often forgotten or buried, stand as a testament to the human spirit's ability to endure and resist even the most oppressive circumstances. Their bravery and resilience deserve to be celebrated, their sacrifices remembered, and their legacy honored. It is time to reclaim this lost history, to shine a light on the incredible hardships faced by the indentured workers, and to ensure that their stories are never forgotten. Let their examples inspire us to stand up against injustice wherever it may exist and to never take for granted the hard won freedom that we enjoy today. Please join us in preserving this vital chapter of our shared history. Together, we can ensure that the resilience and courage of the indentured workers will never be forgotten and that their descendants can take pride in the incredible strength of their forebears. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and comment your